Welcome to episode 11 of Dalek Bumps Question Time. Robot X asks, what would you consider as the most horrific atrocity committed by the Daleks, aside from the reality bomb? This is a really difficult one, not only because the atrocities the Daleks have committed on a universal scale are so numerous, but also because almost every atrocity they've committed is one that they've done many times before. Standard Dalek attack strategy is basically a war crimes tick list. They have no grasp of concepts like mercy, honour or decency. They outright try to make their atrocities as brutal as possible for the sake of efficiency. I suppose if I had to pick one aspect of Dalek strategy to name, it would be the use of biological weapons. Daleks will often soften a planet's defences by secretly bombarding its atmosphere with pathogens designed to attack local life forms. They even did this to Earth in the lead up to the First Dalek War, and during the Third Dalek War they had spread plagues to many planets across the galaxy. There are other specific horrors in Dalek history that I could name, redirecting asteroids at tactically insignificant yet inhabited planets to create nuclear winters that cause near total devastation, enslaving survivors of occupations and making them work in camps for the sheer sadistic pleasure of watching them suffer and die, and transforming idyllic, untainted natural worlds into suffocating industrial wastelands in order to extract resources. But their use of biological weapons is, to me, chief among their most horrific repeated atrocities. Chris Gilbert asks, were there any Thals on Skaro by the time of Remembrance of the Daleks? No, the Thals had abandoned Skaro long before the events of Remembrance of the Daleks. Thal history following the events of Planet of the Daleks is a bit murky, as sadly the TV show hasn't been interested in telling their story once they left Skaro, and there are lots of contradictory details in comics, novels and audios that came afterwards. However, most sources concur that the Thals abandoned Skaro at some point during or immediately after the Dalek Wars, as the Daleks consolidated their power and retook their homeworld completely. New Davius has been stated several times to be a colony of the Thals, perhaps even their new capital, and Skaro itself was ravaged by Dalek infighting long before it was destroyed by the Seventh Doctor. So yes, while the Doctor did undeniably orchestrate the total scourging of an inhabited planet, wiping out every member of the society living on that planet, at least it was baddies he was killing, not goodies. Gasman asks, what do you think is the most powerful Dalek faction of them all? That's a tough one because the power levels of different types of Daleks has never been explicitly defined. We know that the Daleks became extremely powerful in the Time War, as they were testing themselves against a race of temporal demigods, and so had to adapt some pretty hefty defences and technologies in order to meet the Time Lords in battle, hence their massively upgraded shields, armour and weapons seen in early New Who, compared to where we last saw them in Classic Who. Following the Time War, when the Daleks went back to their standard practice of causing chaos across the universe, it seems their standard drones have become weaker, not to the extent that they are vulnerable, but simply as a natural adaptation to the fact that the enemies they are fighting are nowhere near as strong as before. They don't need to be massively overpowered in order to be the most powerful force in the universe anymore, and so as a result, post-Paradigm Bronze Daleks seem to be less powerful, with some appearing to not even use shields at all, either out of Dalek arrogance or because they simply aren't fitted with them. So to answer your question, I'd have to say the Time War Daleks were the most powerful iteration of the Daleks, but it's important to note that while later breeds of Daleks are comparably less powerful, they are not weak, they're simply optimised for a different kind of warfare. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Dalek Bumps Question Time. Check out the playlist tab on the channel for the complete list of all my previous Q&As, and leave your answers to these great questions in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.